Yo. What is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and welcome to this week's installment of Cosmic Convergence, your weekly astrology horoscope. The beginning of Act 1. That is what we have going on today for this one. I know I'm a little late. I apologize. I was up late last night. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have like a ton of energy, but we're going to rock it out with this one anyways. Because honestly, we have a lot to talk about this week. We have a lot of interesting aspects going on this week. Grand Fire Trines, Yods, second full moon in Capricorn. We have Mars shifting into a new sign. We have the Sun shifting into a new sign. We got a lot to talk about. That's for sure. As you can see, we have my boy Growlithe here today. I figured I'd bring the puppy Pokemon that evolves into the legendary Pokemon Arcanine here today, because we are about to move into this Leo season, and I figured why not bring Growlithe along for the ride. So yeah, let's talk about this week, right? So it's getting more dramatic. I said it was going to get more and more dramatic. I've been saying that, And when I was thinking about this week, looking over the transits and stuff, I'm like, all right, this is the beginning of Act 1. And this movie that we're about to watch, which is going to be, in many ways, sort of like the finale, I guess, in this movie or series that we've been experiencing and watching as a collective, is the whole end of the Pluto Capricorn transit. But this is Act 1. The beginning of Act 1 is Leo season. Leo season is Act 1. Virgo season is Act 2. Libra season is Act 3. And Scorpio season is Act 4. And what happens at the end of Act 4? Pluto comes back into Aquarius and will never return back to Capricorn in all of our lives, unless you live for 250 years. We will not see Pluto come back into Capricorn a third time. So, this is Act 1, Leo season, which starts coming up here on Monday, where the sun will move into Leo, right? Before then, of course, we have a lot of interesting energy. We are still very much so in this Cancer energy. And this Cancer season is definitely one to remember. This Cancer season has, I thought it was initially going to be kind of quiet, but then it just like revved all the way up to like 100 this past weekend, of course. All the way up to 100. But this Cancer season has definitely been one about like trying to find the comfortability within the discomfort. Because I think we all are experiencing some discomfort in our lives. Whether it's in our own bodies, whether it's within our surroundings. Especially with Jupiter being in Gemini, which is kind of like I said, it's like, hey, Jupiter in Gemini is like a massive orange cat trying to fit into like a cup. Like that's what it feels like. Or like a box that is obviously too small for the cat, but the cat doesn't care anyway, is going to get inside the box. So that's a bit uncomfortable. Throw in that Cancer season is happening right here. We have 2 full moons in Capricorn. So trying to find comfortability in places where there's some discomfort and things aren't really feeling perfect. You know, it's been a rather emotional Cancer season too. I know everyone has been a little bit more moody, maybe even a little bit more irritable, especially with squares over to all this Aries energy, the North Node in Aries, Chiron in Aries, and of course we have that South Node over there in Libra as well. So there's been a little bit of irritability as far as that goes. You know, this is this final week of Leo season, and it's not even the full week because, like I said, Leo season starts on Monday, and I just got deja vu for some reason. It is going to bring with it a lot of intensity. A lot of it has to do with the fact that, of course, the sun's coming home to Leo, but also has to do with the fact that Mars is going to be coming into Gemini. Mars, of course, which has been in Taurus this whole time, and just conjuncted Uranus and a fiery fucking explosion, just be real. And now Gemini is going to have two planets that rule fire signs in it. Jupiter, of course, which rules Sagittarius, mutable fire, and then we're going to have Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, cardinal fire, will both be in an air sign. And what happens when you bring fire and air together? The fire expands, and it breathes, and it grows. Especially bringing with it such a passionate planet in Mars, it's definitely going to raise the temperature. So, the beginning of Act 1. Now, when I was making this image last night, I was getting frustrated. Because I had so many other ideas. Like the first idea I had was a person that's practicing their lines. Like they're rehearsing their lines for a play. And for some reason, it showed the person in like looking at themselves in the mirror, rehearsing their lines for a play. But then it showed like another reflection that just didn't make any sense. So it just didn't work out. Because I'm thinking like an act, like a play, someone rehearsing their lines. This is the beginning of Act 1, because we don't really reach it until Leo season, but we have 5 days in this horoscope that leads up to it. It just wasn't working. Then I was like, all right, let me shift gears. Let me go to a theater where you have, of course, a bunch of individuals watching this movie, but I wanted it to be like the preview, like the credits, because this week is mostly the credits. It's mostly the credits and then the opening scene in this movie, this Act 1 of this movie, right? And that wasn't working either. The crowd, it was just a massive, massive crowd, which I could have gotten behind, but that had to have been a really big theater in order to actually fit that many people. Almost felt like a stadium, the way that the AI was like generating it and stuff. It wasn't like any aisles, so it's like wall-to-wall seats, so it's like there's no way anybody can get in. And I know it's AI and it's not perfect, whatever like that. And I was like adjusting it and stuff like that too, to try and create aisles. There were a few images that it produced where it actually created those aisles and then it took it away, and I was just like, screw it, whatever, I'm done. Then I was like, you know what? Instead of showing someone like doing a play or actually showing the movie, let me actually show and depict the story itself. So the first thing I thought of is like, well, if it's the beginning of Act 1, it made me think of, especially since we're going from Cancer to Leo, is making me think of childbirth and children and youth. And there's a warrior-like aspect to this because Mars plays a big role this week as well. Or an adventurer aspect as well, because Jupiter is here in Gemini too. And I was like, you know what? Let me do this instead. So we have an image of an adventurer coming across this baby dragon that is freshly hatched from its egg. And over the course of the next 4 months, we are going to embark on a journey with these two characters as they grow together over the course of this movie, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. We are going to chronicle their journey and the end of this rather important, incredibly important, and world-altering Pluto in Capricorn transit. So that's where a lot of this comes down to. Because by the end of Scorpio season, with only a few days left before Sag, Pluto will ingress back into Aquarius, where it will stay there for the next 20 years. None of us, like I said, alive, unless you live for 240 years, will not see Pluto and Capricorn again. So this is a story about this, young adventurer that comes across this dragon egg, this dragon that just hatched, and we're going to see these two grow and evolve. This is the week, this is the beginning of Act 1. That is the astrology for this week. Because when I look at it, it does, in many ways, kind of feel like a fresh beginning, but there's also a lot of things that need to be revisited. And we will see that as we embark on this journey with these two over the next 4 months or so. So, now that I've kind of painted the backdrop for you guys in this picture, I'm actually real excited about this because it's like, it feels like a whole series, if you will. Like, I feel like all of the cosmic convergences from now until the end of Scorpio season is going to feel like an actual journey. It really is. And I'm going to do my best as an astrologer to cover this, to chronicle it, because I do feel like these are going to be 4 months that is going to be remembered for a long time in humanity. It's going to go down in history, and this is going to be my way of chronicling. I hope I said that right. These next 4 months. And I'm using the metaphor of an adventurer discovering this dragon as they grow together. I'm really excited to see how this comes. And I mean, obviously, even though I'm using this as the base, I'm gonna try my best to kind of stick to how these characters look when I'm generating these with the AI. But obviously, there's gonna be some differences from week to week. But we're going to pretty much stick with that theme. So, in any event, let's hop into it. Let's see. No, not display capture. I guess application. And then. Oh wait, no. Wait, window. Maybe it is window capture. Where am I at? Oh, give me 1 second, y'all. It shouldn't take me too long to get this. All right. Let me try this again. Properties. Why isn't it showing? There we go. Alright, let me move that over. So, okay, cool. Now we are cooking. Let me go ahead and change the wheel style because I like to actually have the decans up here too. So, and maybe I could even make this a tad bigger. Make that a tad bigger. But yeah, so we are good. Excellent. All right, now we're cooking. So I've already covered Wednesday a little bit, and in my daily. So if you haven't already checked that out, be sure to check that out. Of course, it's really mostly the moon that's been making aspects today. It went ahead and sextiled Pluto, and the first part of the day, we've seen the trine to Venus, which is a beautiful aspect. We are about to experience the opposition to Jupiter as well, so probably right after this video concludes, we'll have that opposition. And that's like the main stuff that's been going on today with this Wednesday. I felt like really Thursday is when things start to really get much more intense and stuff too. But obviously, like I said, since I'm making this video after some of these other aspects, I'm not going to really go too much in depth on Wednesday. Now, ideally, I do kind of want to switch things up as far as the way I do like these weeklies. I do like doing them live, but I also, in order to kind of make some changes and kind of make some accommodations in other areas of my life, I'm also thinking about just recording this like the night before. I'd like to do it live, but if I'm doing it like too late at night, I don't want to be live that late. I don't mind recording though that late. That's not an issue, especially if I happen to be off on the next day from my day job. So I'm thinking that, eventually it'll probably get to the point where this is like a recorded video and then, you know, I'll have it premiere, and I can even watch it live with you guys too back. But you know, I'm still trying to work out how all that's going to work. So, but like I said, Wednesday, like I said, the main thing, at least as far as like after this video that you guys will experience, is going to be that opposition of the moon to Jupiter here in Sag at 11 degrees. That's the main thing that we're going to see on this day, of course. Now, what is that? Sorry. I thought I had my phone volume down, but I guess I did not. So let me actually do that. That was random. It said like survey call. I'm not even sure what that was even about. So probably asking who I was going to vote for in the election, whatever. I don't think I'm going to vote this year. Anyways, so we do see, like I said, this moon here in Sagittarius here at 11 degrees making this opposition. And yeah, we're only going to feel this for a couple hours, so I'm not going to go on this too deep. But I do think this is interesting, considering the fact that Jupiter is actually dispositing this moon, because the moon is in its home, in Jupiter's home of Sagittarius. This moon, of course, is definitely wanting to feel more adventurous. It's much more concerned about beliefs and the big picture. Now, Jupiter, of course, here is bringing some facts to the surface, but it's also without Deberon, right? So it's an interesting one. I think the moon here wants to also push the boundaries, because it is with this asteroid Icarus, which is a very minor asteroid that most people don't really, touch on. But Icarus is definitely about pushing the boundaries, flying too high, flying close to the sun. There's a bit of delusion with Icarus as well. So I think this moon here, while it wants to think big and think positive and see the big picture, there's a slight bit of delusion to this, and Jupiter's kind of providing a bit of a check to this. But Jupiter's understanding, because Jupiter is also delusional at times, but Jupiter is a little bit more concerned about the facts. So I think it's like, we can take this sort of energy and be like, we can definitely think big and see the big picture and everything like that, and want to even go for it. But there's still an element here where we have to apply some wisdom. We have to apply some truth and some facts to this, and just, be okay with that. I don't think this opposition has to be a bad thing, especially since it's going to be rather short. We're not going to feel it for that long, but it could actually be like a bit of like a boost in a way, where it's like, yeah, you can have that big vision and stuff like that. Take into consideration the facts and everything like that and where things are, but why not go for it? Why not think big? Why not think positive? I think that's really what it comes down to. And it's like, but like I said, we have to kind of be honest too, especially with, like I said, Icarus here. I was like, well, yeah, like, sure, you could think big and be like, oh yeah, I can just drive my car on the lake and it won't sink. I mean, that's what a boat is, what I'm saying? And that's a weak example, but that's just what came to my mind. I mean, I guess they do have cars that run on water, man. But, like, if you know, you know. But, like, that's the thing about this. I think there's an element here where we have to be a little bit realistic, but also just like, yeah, maybe we could stretch, maybe we could stretch it out a little bit. Maybe we could think a little bit bigger. I think this is a great aspect for like creatives and artists. This could be an aspect where someone can have like a sort of epiphany, like a creative idea, a creative thought, and maybe they just kind of go with it, especially with this axis, especially with Gemini here. Jupiter in Gemini is great for writers. I will say that if you're a writer, if you're an artist, it's great for that sort of stuff, but particularly like writing and stuff too. But probably more so fictional writing, because like I said, Gemini is definitely talking about like the facts and like the truth, but Jupiter is very much so about belief and like the adventure. So this could be a good time though, if you are a writer, to actually do some writing. You know what I'm saying? This entire Jupiter and Gemini transit. It doesn't have to just be today, but this moon with Icarus opposing Jupiter is going to want to push the boundaries a little bit. And maybe it's a slight bit delusional, but like I said, the good thing is that the moon is not going to just stay at this spot. It's going to continue moving forward. So, I mean, that's Wednesday. The big day, I feel, the first big day, of course, is going into this Thursday. Now, as we come into Thursday, we're going to see that sun hit that 26th degree and begin its sextile over to Uranus. Now, this is going to start to trigger the yod that is going to form once the moon also hits that 26th degree. So Thursday is kind of a big deal. It is kind of a big deal. We are going to see, before that yod comes into its formation, a nice little square of that moon at 19 degrees, making a square over to Saturn at 19 degrees. So this does bring a bit of the reality back into check with that Saturn, but it is retrograde and it is in Pisces too, right? So Saturn is also looking at the big picture of things, but still trying to find some type of structure within it. But trying to find structure in Pisces world, especially with the ruler of Pisces, Neptune, also a retrograde, probably not the easiest. I think this is going to be one of those moments, especially since this is how the day is going to start for a lot of people, at least here in America. I mean, in Europe, it's a little bit, this will be like your early afternoon. But I felt like this moon square Saturn is kind of like one of the major stamps of the day, if you will. But what's interesting about this day, like I said, is that we have this square, we have a grand fire trine, and we have a yod. So honestly, I feel like Thursday is one of those days where anything can happen. When you get that much stuff happening in one day, anything can really happen. And yes, while it is the moon that's involved in a lot of this, it's just you don't really see that. You don't see moon square Saturn, and then you will see a exact grand fire trine with 23 degrees with the moon in Sag, Mercury in Leo, and Chiron in Aries, all at 23 degrees. So we have an exact grand fire trine. Usually there's like a degree or two here and there, give or take. But the fact that this happens exact, like very, very close. We're talking 23:20, 23:20, and 23:30. We're talking within 10 minutes. This is such a close heavenly fire trine that can help you to really start to think more positively, especially with that Mercury and Leo, to think more positively about the future, about even the present moment, and how you can find this unique, incredible superpower that only you can really bring this world. But it's going to come down to whether or not you believe and even trust in yourself to do so. Are you able to communicate that to the world? Are you able to communicate that to yourself? This is a very, very positive alignment. Very positive alignment. It's a little bit awkward because Chiron is there, right? But this is kind of like that moment in The Hunchback of Notre Dame where the main character realizes that he can overcome his disabilities in the way that people perceive him, right? Because that's Aries. Aries is the natural first house, so that's how people initially perceive you in like your physical appearance. So, and said Mercury and Leo, communicating what's in your heart. Moon and Sag, feeling big, feeling the adventure, happy-go-lucky, positive attitude generally. So this is one of those moments where it's like, believe in yourself. I know it sounds so corny, but seriously, believe in yourself. What do you have to lose at this point? What do you have to lose? So we have this square to Saturn. We have a grand fire trine. And then we have a heavenly yod that forms between Uranus and the Sun and the Moon at 26 degrees. So another exact aspect happens here. And the yod is like, it's the finger of God. It's this moment of fate. So you have this Uranian Taurus energy, which is in many ways like dealing with the collective, and it's electricity, this quantum realm. With Taurus too, so it's value. And then you have that Sun in Cancer, which, it deals with healing, it deals with mysticism, it deals with the mother, family, and your home. And then it's pointing towards that moon at 26 degrees of Sagittarius, which is really close to the galactic center point. I know some people are going to be focused on that, but whatever. But it's like right there at that spot. In fact, because I feel so called to do so, I am going to read the Sabian symbol for 26 degrees. I'm going to read it for all of them, actually. So let's start with where Uranus is. Taurus, 26 degrees. So I'm just being called to do it. And you notice I'm doing it with the yod and not the trine, but there's a reason for that. So Taurus, 27 degrees. I'm just going to read it to you guys. I will show you, but I'm going to just read it to you guys. An old Indian woman selling beads and trinkets. This symbol indicates having talents and skills and crafts that reflect one's culture or abilities. Don't underestimate yourself and do only what you think others believe you are capable of. These very limitations are telling you of hidden talents and skills that you probably just take for granted. There is something very worthwhile on offer here. Don't wait for passerby to stop and to pay attention. Others may think you're more talented and special than you realize. Get out and show your talents and abilities. Older, wiser elements of society making offerings to younger, less integrated. Worthy skills, handicrafts, artifacts of the tribe or clan, quiet determination to succeed. Reversal kind of energy of this. Looking down on those that seem less fortunate, underestimating the true worth of one's job, hobby, or craft, bickering over money, sweatshops, and slave labor. We may see something on this day, an exposure of people that look down on those that do honest, good work, and maybe not even see the value in what they're doing. But we may also see, we'll probably see both. We'll probably see some sort of exposure, right? Of like maybe like something like some sort of, and I'm thinking like a physical good, because I mean you're thinking of like Uranus, groups of people, Taurus, which does deal with like physical material possessions. So we may see some sort of exposure here, starting on Thursday, Wednesday going to Thursday. We may see some sort of exposure of a company that does very much so underpay their workers, or they use slave labor or something like that. And it may be shocking because it's Uranus too, right? It's maybe very shocking. We may see that. But like I said, we can also see the opposite, where it's like, don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate your skills, your talents. That's what the entire day is leading up to. The square to Saturn is don't underestimate yourself. Yes, it may be hard. Yes, it may be challenging. But Saturn is still in Pisces. It's retrograde here. There's a bigger picture, and there's a spiritual quality to this. So you can do it. Grand Fire Trine. Believe in yourself. This is just like straight. This could be like straight. Sometimes you have to have like straight up delusional belief in yourself. You know? Believe in yourself. Like Naruto, believe it, you know? And then bam, we have this yod. Now this is Taurus 27. Let's read Cancer 27. Or 26 degrees. It shifts to 27 degrees because it's like the minutes. So let's do that. Let's see, Cancer 26. Look up, come on. All right. A storm in a residential canyon filled with valuable homes. This symbol implies you may find yourself much deeper in situations than you had planned, but you find yourself restrained by the walls about you and the turbulence happening in and around you. Strong emotions or events may be unleashed, and there may be no escape from the turbulence that is around. The best thing to do is to wait it out and protect yourself the best you can. In fact, endeavoring to contain the energy could result in more damage. Things will settle down and peace will reign once more. Arguments and emotional confrontations emerge as a result of the pressure cooker environment in modern day living. Psychic energy being unleashed on the community or the environment. Furious emotions, unexpected releases of power and turbulence. The awesome power of nature instability. We may see a volcanic eruption on Thursday. Wrongly believing that you are in control of an uncontrollable situation. Enjoyment and promotion of emotional storms and turmoil, whipping things around. It does feel like we're kind of are weathering a storm. And I feel like that's what the end of Cancer is, especially as we get closer and closer to the trine with Neptune. And of course, once it goes into Leo, the opposition with Pluto. I said that things were going to get more dramatic. And based off of these Sabian symbols, what I've been talking about, and the reason why I felt called by Spirit to hone in on this yod and on this Thursday, I can see why. Now let's go to the moon, which is at Sagittarius 26 degrees. Where these things are pointing to. The sculptor's vision is slowly but surely taking form. This symbol shows being able to project one's visions, thoughts, or ideals out into a world so that they take form and come into conscious manifestation. This is the degree of the galactic center and holds an enormous charge of energy and power, something not to be taken lightly. There is a responsibility inherent in this for you to understand that your thoughts will take shape, so be careful what you think. You may find yourself in situations where you can manipulate events into something of value and lasting integrity. Slow, painstaking work will bring rewards as things come to fruition. You are able to shape and form onto materials to have a desired outcome. Follow your vision, be creative, picture an outcome, and watch it materialize. Concrete creative manifestation, the Godhead, the mind of God, molding shapes and forms, the galactic center, evolution, the law of attraction, the law of vibration. I'm going to add that in there. Visions ahead of time. Disregard of others' needs, unnatural focus on a goal, being one-eyed about things or objectives, thinking that things will just magically happen without effort. What is that saying in the Bible? Crap, it's in my head. It's like faith. Yeah, faith without works is dead. That's pretty much what I got out of that. Faith without works is dead. We can't just blindly and delusionally think things are going to happen. It's going to require some work, but there is some powerful, I cannot state this enough, powerful, potent energy on this Thursday. And what's beautiful is that we get the healing, heavenly Grand Fire Trine before the yacht even takes place. So the universe is setting us up for success. Even though energy seems crazy, even though energy seems turbulent, even though we may be doubting our gifts, our talents, we may not be believing in ourselves. But the fact of the matter is that we are so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for, and we can make it through these times together. But it starts with you. It starts with you. So that's the yod. And the whole day built up to that, right? And like I said, kind of a big deal. Pretty major big deal. If you, like I said, listen to all of those Sabian symbols and where they are, we see some pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, if I had to put out any predictions or some potentialities, some big business is going to get exposed for underpaying their workers like greatly or using slave labor. Some type of volcanic eruption or maybe a tsunami or something like that because it's cancer. So maybe a very, very violent storm somewhere. Maybe a tornado that pops up on Thursday somewhere. But like some sort of violent storm might pop up or a flood. That could be one thing too here. But it's just because the energy is so potent and powerful. It's like it's a day of fate. It's going to be one of those days, honestly, where it's like, it's probably going to be one of those days where it's like 10% will, 90% fate. I feel like there are days where there's, God lets us use our will more. But then I feel like there are days where God just takes over. Thursday is one of those days where God takes over. So trying to control the energy too much and trying to hold things in and trying to hold things completely together, this is one of those days where you do have to kind of go with the flow, know your power, where your gifts and talents lie, and know what you can do, but also try not to overly force your idea of how things are supposed to work out. This is one of those days where God takes over. Straight the fuck up. So, now, we're moving on to Friday. You're not ready for this. You're not ready for this? We're going in. Now, we go into Friday. And we're going to see, of course, this moon is going to finish up here. It's going to make a nice little square over to Neptune. It's happening in the middle of the night for at least people here in America, right? In Europe, you're kind of waking up to this energy, right? But it's happening like early in the morning. So you're not going to feel this for very long. If you're in Europe, you kind of wake up to this energy. I'll say for my Europe peeps, though, man, this has a lot to do with just whatever happens on Thursday and the way that you guys respond and react to it in Europe is going to. I feel like there's a lot of like maybe like the delusional stuff that we may see, whatever like that. It may kind of play out more in Europe, but then in America, we're gonna be still dreaming and stuff like that. So it's gonna be in our dream state. But in Europe, since y'all are waking up to this energy and stuff like that, this is going to be there's gonna be a lot of like it's gonna definitely feel like a movie. Like Friday's gonna feel like a movie for y'all in Europe, right? In America, we're gonna wake up and be like, well, almost like we slept through the movie, if you will, you know. But it kind of has like this sort of finale kind of like energy with it. That moon's gonna shift into Capricorn, though, right? So it's gonna shift into Capricorn on this day, and we're also going to see as the day progresses Mars hit that 29th degree, so it's going to begin its sextile to Neptune. It's not going to be exact, but it is going to begin that sextile to Neptune on this Friday as the moon comes into its full moon phase. We'll see this moon today make a few aspects, but nothing too crazy, mainly because now a lot of these planets are starting to move out of the first decan of their various signs, right? So we have Jupiter that's in the second decan of Gemini. We have Venus, which is about to get out of the first decan of Leo. So now the moon is not going to be making aspects within that first decan of whatever sign it goes into. Now we're going to be seeing, at least for this moment, right? So the day is going to progress, and then we're of course going to see Venus hit that 10th degree. So the first aspect that the moon is going to make in Capricorn is to the nodes at 9 degrees. First aspect that it makes. So once again, we're not going to really feel this too much, but it's one of those things too where it's like it happens towards the tail end of the day, at least here in the States. So we're not going to really feel too much of it. So it's going to be more like building up and stuff like that. Friday's going to kind of feel, the energy is going to kind of like feel a little, not going to feel as intense as Thursday. It's going to be more so like, all right, how are we going to be responding and reacting to this, especially with that moon in Capricorn, because people are definitely going to be in their feels about society, structure, business, jobs, career, work, legacy. There's going to be a lot more that feels about it. And with the square to the nodes, it's going to be like, well, shoot, with that North Node in Aries, are people being really authentic to who they really are, expressing who they are and stuff like that? Are they being a little too raw? Are they being a little too impulsive? Or with the whole Libra thing, are people being fair? Are people able to compromise? Are people being able to find balance? Or is there a lack of justice? Is there a lack of fairness? Are people overcompensating? Are people overly giving of themselves and it's actually not really balanced? So where they think that they're trying to actually keep the peace, while they're trying to maybe keep the peace with another individual, there's no peace within their own self and their own heart, which is a big issue. So of course, the moon is going to quincunx Venus in Leo right afterwards. So there's definitely going to be this thing where it's like, well, and Venus is just passing the South Node, right? So it's like, there's this whole thing. It's like, well, shoot, like, yeah, am I being true to, you know, what's in my heart? Am I being true? Am I expressing myself? Am I being passionate? Am I being true to being my co-creative self here? That's the whole thing about it. So it's like we have to find that balance though with that square to the South Node while it's also in quincunx to Venus, because it could be a bit awkward. I think that's the thing too. Maybe you have a certain want or desire that maybe is a little bit awkward with that Venus and Leo. Remember, Venus and Leo like shiny stuff. Venus and Leo is a little vain. I'm not gonna lie. Right? It's a little vain. It likes shiny stuff. It likes beautiful things. You know? So that's the thing about it. But Friday, definitely the energy is going to feel a lot more muted compared to the day previous. Now we move into Saturday. And we'll see that moon make a quincunx over to Jupiter. Of course, this is like I said, 2:25 a.m. on a Saturday, so most people are going to be asleep for this one. And even those people in Europe, you guys are going to be waking up to this energy, so forth. But this is, like I said, going to be early in the morning, so no one's really going. It's not going to really have that much of an impact, if you will. We will see, of course, this moon continue its transits, and it's going to make a nice little sextile over to Saturn. But it looks like before that actually happens, the Mars Neptune sextile does come to its apex as Mars is getting ready to shift into another sign. And that's going to happen on Saturday too. So we only have a few more days of Mars in Taurus. And what's interesting about this Mars in Taurus is the evolution that's about to take place. Mars is a warrior, right? And with it being in Taurus, it's definitely, if you think of like RPG classes, Mars is the tank, so to speak. His weapon of choice in Taurus is an axe, okay? So there's a level of durability. He could take more hits in Taurus, but he's a little bit slower. In fact, he's the slowest in Taurus. That's the thing about it. So he has an axe. So hits really, really hard, but isn't very fast and not very agile. It's about to move into mutable air. So we're going to go from wielding this massive battle axe to being more like, I'm not gonna say rogue because that's technically that's kind of like Scorpio energy, but it's definitely more of like it's like a scout. It's almost like a ninja, if you will. You know, but looking for like trying to get those secrets and everything like that. In fact, you could say it's actually like a ninja because, like I said, they move fast, they're quick, there's some illusion there, and Gemini is the 8th house to Scorpio. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's like going from like a battle axe wielding warrior to being like a ninja or like a scout that's just trying to get information, or like a bard. People like to look at it as like a bard. That could be Sag as well, but it's like a bard, guys that plays music. So that's the thing about it. That's where Mars is about to head to, right? So the energy is going to pivot really quickly here. We're gonna feel it more, especially with being Mars, and Mars is like a personal planet. But we'll see the apex of that 29th degree sextile. And it brings up a wonderful, beautiful opportunity, but it's also going to bring up a lot of powerful energy because this is such a sensitive degree being here at the edge. And this could be one of those moments, I'm not going to lie though, because of just the nature of how everything is with the sun that's also building up to its trine with Neptune, with us building up to a full moon and a second full moon in Capricorn. So everyone's emotionally going to be a little bit more riled up. This could be another weird moment, I feel, where potentially someone may snap. Now, we already saw this the previous Saturday. It's going to play out a little bit differently here. But because it's so sensitive, and it's a sextile too, right? So generally it's positive, but Mars is still within 3 degrees of Uranus, right? So, but there's a bit of an interesting energy here with that Mars and Taurus where someone may try to do one massive final swing of their battle axe to try and make some sort of statement or change. It's going to be based off of what they feel is valuable and true, whatever like that, with the Taurus energy. But Uranus is here too, like I said. And that moon, of course, at 17 degrees here of Capricorn, while this apex is coming to its fruition. So we'll see. We actually will see the moon sextile Saturn before Mars does come into Gemini. So this is going to make us think about it too. If you're preparing one final swing of your battle axe with that Mars and Taurus, you might want to wait for the moon to sextile Saturn, because Saturn is going to provide this interesting check, especially considering the fact that Saturn is dispositing this moon. You might want to wait a little bit and see, well, there are consequences to your actions. There's karma involved here. That's the sextile, right, to Saturn. There's karma involved here. So you might want to think twice before you do anything rash. But I'm not going to lie, Mars sextile Neptune at 29 degrees, this is rash action. Someone may take a very rash action. What happened with Trump, I think, was planned. Okay? With him getting shot, right? That was planned. This Saturday may be something that is not planned. Like something just snaps, something just pops. But then, like I said, there's the repercussion because the moon is in Capricorn. So there's going to be something karmic. I wouldn't be surprised, since it is the moon here, that whatever does happen to people that are involved, there's definitely something of like a past life kind of thing, because the moon does rule memories. This is Capricorn. That's the ruler of time. So I wouldn't be surprised that there's some sort of karmic event that happens on Saturday, whether we see with this Mars sextiling Neptune, some type of karmic event that happens that is not an isolated event as far as this life. It's going to seem like it's random in this life, like it's going to be like out of the blue, last minute, wasn't planned, but it's something that's probably been building up for lifetimes. That's kind of what I'm getting at here, right? But then, of course, we will see Mars shift into Gemini. And like I said, that does provide a bit of the explosion quality, because now Gemini has two planets that rule fire in its sign. And things are going to get even more dramatic, because as soon as Mars comes into Gemini, what does it do? It trines Pluto. We'll see a square of the moon to Chiron on this day at 23 degrees. So we won't really feel that too much, but we'll see that square that happens. We also will see a quincunx over to Mercury at the tail end of the day going into Sunday as we go into this full moon phase. Let's talk about the full moon. 29 degrees. Why is this important? This is a degree that Pluto has been oscillating over. Going into Aquarius, going back into Capricorn, going into Aquarius, and also coming back into Capricorn. This is also the degree that, of course, Pluto is going to stop at and come back into Aquarius. So this is kind of a big deal, the fact that we get double this. Now, of course, the sun is going to be in trine to Neptune at this time, and the moon is going to be sextiling Neptune at this time as well. Definitely a very powerful moment with this full moon. It also is going to signify that we're not done with the Capricorn story, which is why the very next day, when the sun does go into Leo, it is the beginning of Act 1 of this movie, if you will, that we are watching. Or you could say that Leo is the first movie, Virgo is the second movie, Libra is the third movie, and Scorpio is the fourth movie. You could say that as well, right? But it's whether it's movies or acts or whatever like that, or arcs within like a show, whatever, like you have like the different arcs, like an anime, you have like different arcs, whatever like that, or different eras. It plays out the same. Like just use whatever metaphor that you want. But this full moon is going to be like, oh, we gotta revisit that. It's almost sort of like this is the end of one movie, right? And it's going like the Cancer movie, and we're going into the next one, but this is like the major preview moment with that full moon, where at the end of the movie, if you stayed in the theater and they show like a teaser or something like that, you realize that something that the characters within the movie thought that they were done with comes back to life, revives, Phoenix Rising kind of moment, because Pluto's here. And it's like, oh shit. I thought we fucking killed that cockroach. Stepped on it twice. Now we gotta go another time. So, this full moon is going to be emotional, intense, and yeah, I guess there's as far as the metaphorically the way I'm kind of, I hope that you guys can understand kind of where I'm coming from when I'm like explaining it metaphorically about this whole week in this Sunday, where it's like, yeah, we are kind of in like a bit of the preview. I feel like, if anything, this is, it's a full moon, so it is a culmination point, it's a release point. So yeah, this is like the end of the movie, this is like the end of the Cancer movie. But yeah, yeah, if you leave the theater, then you'll probably miss the whole like, oh crap, we're not done yet. Like the movie that we just watched and stuff like that. It's going to leave it in such a way, especially with Mars leaving Taurus and coming into Gemini so dramatically, the way it's doing it, it's going to leave it in such a way that you think that it's over, but it's actually not over. So like if you stay behind and you watch the, like after the end credits and you see like that teaser, you're like, oh crap, this is actually about to get even more intense. You haven't seen nothing yet. That's what this full moon is, right? So now the moon it's going to come, of course, into Aquarius. It's going to conjunct Pluto. It's going to make a nice little trine over to Mars. We're also going to see Mercury in square to Uranus. So yeah, this might be a whole thing where it may be hard with that Mercury there to, especially with it being in Leo. It's like people are gonna want to, like I said, communicate what's in their heart, what they love and stuff. But Uranus and Taurus is going to be kind of stuck and steadfast, and it's also going to be sort of like that insane event or that craziness or whatever that's going on that everyone's going to be talking about. And the square is going to be like, people are going to be divided on it. People are simply going to be divided on it. They're not going to get it. It's going to be hard to conceptualize what's going on here. The fact that we have this nice little trine here, it's a beautiful moment where we can feel some sort of revival. But can't remember the last time I saw Mars trine Pluto with the moon with Pluto as well. I'd have to look to see when we could have even seen that last time. The last time that the Pluto was even at 0 degrees. I don't even think we could have seen this. Hold on. Let me. Actually, before I do that, forgive me. I gotta run to the bathroom real fast. I will be right back. Until then, enjoy this beautiful scene, beginning of Act 1. I'll be right back, y'all. I am back, but I don't think we could have even seen this, to be fair. The last time that Pluto was at 0 degrees, Mars was with it, of course. And even before that, if we look, hold on, where am I looking? Okay, that's where I'm looking. All right. It retrograded there, and Mars did ingress there, but Mars was actually opposed it, so I don't even think it was even in. No, I didn't even make it, because before that, let's see, hold on. No, because this was like the first time that Pluto went into that spot, and they didn't trine in air, they trined in Earth. So we haven't seen this. This is a very unique transit that we'll be seeing here. Go back to Sunday. Yeah, this is a very unique transit that we're even going to be seeing. So that's the thing about it. You see, even though it's the moon and it doesn't move, it moves very fast, so we don't feel it that much. The fact that it's with Pluto is just going to intensify the energy. It's going to intensify the energy, and with a trine over to Mars, it's just going to even make it more intense. And it's air too, so you're talking like a incredible like release point, rebirth, explosion energy, supernova kind of energy. I'm not gonna lie, with it being Aquarius and like this whole cosmic aspect to it as well. And it's still very much so in the full moon phase because, you know, the sun is here at 29 degrees getting ready to shift into Leo. Like, this is a pretty big moment here. I'm not gonna lie. A massive moment here. Something that we had no one alive has experienced. Unless you lived 240 years ago. And if you lived 240 years ago and you happen to be watching this video, that's freaking dope. We'll see, of course, as the day progresses, that moon says trines Pluto, and that's really the main thing it does. That's the main thing it does. We get it out the way, because, like I said, with a lot of these planets now that are in their second decade outside of Mars, which of course the moon has already trined, we're not going to see the moon making the aspects to any other planets until it reaches the second decan of Aquarius, which won't do that on Sunday. So we'll start to see it make aspects to the nodes here going into Monday via a trine to the south node and a sextile to the north node. But the main thing, of course, on Monday is the fact that that sun is going to enter into Leo. So happy Leo season. Happy birthday to all the Leos out there. Boom. Congratulations. You get to do a Pluto immediately. And this happens while the moon is in trine Jupiter, mind you. So we get a bit, I guess you could say it's a grand air trine. It's not exact because it's 3 degrees, but Jupiter is a large enough planet to have some influence, so I kind of will give it. But also Jupiter is not that strong in Gemini, so maybe I won't give it that influence. Right? So it's kind of a bit of a stretch, the air trine between the moon, Jupiter, and the south node. You know, it's a bit of a stretch. But we'll see that sun, of course, come into Leo. And you would think that it would immediately start to feel better. But it doesn't, like, get that much. You know what I'm saying? So it only goes to +5. So we'll have the sun at +5, Mercury at +5, +3, +2, +1, -5, -5. So it's like, yeah, it goes home, but it's not like it's going to like +8 or +10. It's like, it's the fact that it has to freaking oppose Pluto. That's the main thing, right? So it immediately comes to like this hard checkpoint. So congratulations. But move that back. And so we see that. And then, of course, we'll see, like I said, the moon is going to trine Jupiter. It's going to oppose Venus pretty much at the same time, too. So we're going to get that energy as well. This moon in Aquarius, which is, you know, definitely a lot more detached emotionally. But then Venus in Leo, which is very attached. That's the thing. It's going to be very, very weird with that, especially with the sun that's going to be opposing Pluto. Monday could definitely be like, especially in relationships, like just, you know, try not to take things too personally because we got like double oppositions with Moon, Venus, Sun, Pluto. It almost kind of looks like a bow tie between these energies. It's like a very, very tight bow tie though. Or like the universe like kind of tying like a ribbon, but it's very awkward. It's very, very tight. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, very intense. So that's the thing about this. You know, I think relationship-wise, because the moon is not going to be here for very, very long, at least it'll start to wear off. But there could definitely be some tension within relationships. Fortunately, this is more so like in the daytime, but there could be some intensity within relationships. And you know, feeling the connection to your partner or your friends or your colleagues, whatever have you. Feel more so romantically wise because this is dealing with Leo, so I'm definitely feeling more like lovers, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, even crushes. This could be a day where people feel definitely a little bit more emotionally distant. So try not to take things too personally and stuff as well, and try not to blow it up and think it's like the end of the relationship because the moon's only going to be opposing Venus for so long. So yeah, the sun's going to be opposing Pluto all day, but you're only going to feel the moon oppose Venus for like a couple hours. So definitely don't like overdo it or overthink it today. Maybe there's some weird nuances within relationships that make you kind of like this is honestly energy that will give people the ick. I'm not gonna lie. Like I know that's like a phrase now. It's like, ooh, they gave me the ick. This is ick energy. Moon opposed Venus, Sun opposed Pluto. It's ick energy, right? But it won't last very long. So try to just like ride this one out. You know what I'm saying? And that happens early in the morning too. So at least here in America, most of y'all won't really even feel this too much. Now I might see this more like in your dreams and stuff like that. So then as you go out your day, be like, maybe you dream about this individual. If you're in Europe, like I said, try not to like overthink it or overdo it and stuff like that, right? So we'll see that, and then of course as the day continues, we got to also remember that we're getting the pure essence of Leo with the sun in its home, and we're getting the pure essence of Aquarius with Pluto here in Aquarius. So there's a lot of pure energy that's coming through on this day. Not to mention Regulus, of course, which has ingressed at 0 degrees of Virgo, which is going to be there for a while, mind you. So it's going to be there for a long time. But, it's definitely going to be one of those days, probably another one of those faded days, honestly, just with the energy. But I think we'll probably have a little bit more will on this day as compared to, like, say, Thursday, like the week before. That's the day where it definitely feels like it's like 90% fate and 10% will. So we'll see the moon towards the end of that day make a nice little sextile over to Chiron. Then, of course, going into Tuesday, it's really going to be just the moon making aspects. We'll see it make a nice little square over to Uranus, right? Now, of course, this is a nice aspect of some mutual reception here because the moon is exalted in Taurus and Uranus rules Aquarius. So this is not a bad square. They rather be where each other are. And the moon rather be in Taurus, Uranus rather be in Aquarius. So they can kind of get along with this square. I think the difficulty here is, like, once again, feeling a little bit emotionally distant, especially from people, and feeling like, your values are so different. But the thing about it is that it's actually kind of simple with Taurus. It's like sometimes we like to complicate things, but this is one of those things where it's like, look, everyone needs food, everyone needs water, everyone needs shelter, everyone needs companionship, everyone needs human to human interaction. Sometimes we overthink it, and yes, there are a lot of other things that humans need, obviously like purpose and everything like that, and a lot of things that humans think that they need, like certain cultural ideas, ways of being, morals, and all that sort of stuff. And I think this is about, yes, we can have like a common moral framework or fabric, but it's also one of those things where it's like, you can, just because there may be subtle differences between you and a certain group or a certain, like, think tank, if you will, whatever like that, doesn't mean that you can't find some commonality there. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the difficult part with this square, is that some people may not be able to find the commonality there. But it's happening at 3:07 a.m., so like I said, a lot of y'all will be asleep for this. So we'll see the moon square Uranus. We'll see it oppose Mercury at 27 degrees, which Mercury is slowing down, mind you. Mercury at this point is moving less than a degree a day. So it's not moving very, very fast because it's getting ready to retrograde here in August. So we'll see that opposition. And then, of course, we'll see that moon shift into Pisces today and definitely bring some watery energy that we probably honestly need because we just left all the Cancer energy and now it's just... But now the water's all Pisces, so that's the weird thing about it too. It's not cardinal, it's not fixed, it's mutable. But it can definitely be kind of one of those days where it's like based off of how things have been going and how dramatic and how intense things get with the Grand Fire Trines, with the Yods, with the full moon, with the Mars Pluto opposition, with all that, with the moon on Pluto. This moon in Pisces is sort of like, if it gets too intense and too hot, it's like the firefighter that actually puts out the fire a little bit. It kind of subdues it. So Tuesday kind of comes in, and it does actually square Mars as well. So the moon actually kind of comes in on Tuesday, and it kind of subdues the energy, which is definitely going to be very much so needed, because it's a lot of intensity right off the bat. So it's like going from this into this one story, this into this one movie, and going into the new movie. It ends on a high note. It begins on a high note, like the inciting beginning action on the sun going into Leo is definitely big, bold, and powerful. But then at least we get to this Tuesday, and it tempers the energy a little bit, which is going to be very nice. So if you can get to Tuesday without losing your head, you will see that the universe is going to come through with the goods and help to temper their energy and kind of cool the flames a little bit, right? The moon's going to also be in quincunx to the sun at this point too, right? So the energy is going to cool off. It's going to be tempered, and I think that's honestly a beautiful way to kind of wrap up the week of something that's very intense. Now, we still have to have within our minds knowing that, hey, this is going to be an intense act one, right? Leo season is going to be it's going to be very, very powerful, but, there are still always going to be moments and pockets. Like, the universe can't just throw all the intensity at us all at once, continually 100% of the time. There's going to be moments where it's varied and tempered. And this Tuesday is sort of like the cap to what is otherwise a very dramatic and intense week, full of fated moments, full of God taking the wheel, and moments, of course, where we can invoke our will, but it's about being that co-creator and meeting God halfway and not putting it all on ourselves and thinking that we have all the answers and we can do it all ourselves, but also simultaneously not just putting it all on God per se and not doing anything, because, like I said, faith without works is dead. And that's pretty much this week as far as the astrology goes. So I hope that helps you guys. I'm going to go ahead and draw some cards too for everybody as well. But like I said, this is the beginning of Act 1, and we will see as this year progresses, you're going to see things are going to get more intense. Things are definitely going to pick up as far as that goes. So let's see what we got here. Give this deck a nice, good old shuffle. All right, let's see what we got. I have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, there's a lot of options available, and maybe we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the options. Who knows? Let's find out what else we have. We have the Ace of Wands. A lot of options. I think a lot of different timelines, a lot of the things that can happen, a lot of feelings about this. But yeah, like I said, this is the beginning of Act 1. Ace of Wands definitely is like an initiation, a spark off. That's for sure. I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. Draw another card too. Let's kind of see where we're going. We have the Seven of Wands upright, so there's gonna be this feeling that we need to defend. It's the Seven of Wands and Seven of Cups. Maybe we're feeling like we have to defend our emotions and the way that we feel about things. Maybe defend, like the cups can also represent like your past actions, Even though it is water, it's dealing with memory. So maybe you're having to go back and defend why you might have did something, or why you chose something, or why you went towards a certain direction. You know what I'm saying? I want a little bit of clarity on those two sevens there. What's going on with those two sevens? Well, we got the Ten of Swords. Yeah. I think trying to overly defend ourselves and overly explain ourselves is actually going to lead to more pain and suffering. It's actually going to lead to more pain and suffering. You know what I mean? I think we've all made choices. We all have taken decisions that, we can definitely defend as why we were maybe in that thought process, why we were in, thinking that it would work that way, or give people kind of like, what is your train of thought sort of deal. But I think if we stick too much to defending the past and defending the Seven of Cups energy, we'll never be able to move forward. The Ace of Wands wants us to move forward. It wants us to spark off something new. It wants us to be creative and imaginative. But I think if we overly defend the past and overly defend the Seven of Cups or like whatever like that, then we're going to cause more suffering for ourselves with that Ten of Swords. What's the overall like spiritual advice for this week? Interesting enough, I have the Five of Pentacles. Now, in the context of this, I think this is speaking to not being afraid of feeling shut out. Not that you're going to be shut out, but I think it's like the fear of being shut out, the fear of being on the outside, the fear of not having enough. I think that's really, in the context of all these cards, the advice is to know your worth. And by knowing your worth, you won't have the need to overly defend yourself. Because you know what you're worth. You know what you're capable of. You know what you can make. You know what you can manifest. You know what you can create. So it doesn't necessarily matter. You know your worth. You know your value. You know what you bring to the table. So you don't have to feel like you're alone. And maybe right here, this is not a party that you even want to go to. Make your own damn party, I'll give you guys a bonus card. Yeah, we have the Queen of Swords. We almost have to be a little bit cold about it. The Queen of Swords, we know that she can be cold. We know that she can be calculated. But I think this is about, not being afraid to say the truth, tell the truth, and the people that are going to come along with the ride with us and party with us in the new world, they will party with us. They'll party with you. But you can't be afraid that you're going to be shut out, especially with this Five of Pentacles energy. This might be a party that you don't even want to go to. It's probably yesterday's news. It's probably bullshit. They probably don't have good music. They don't have good food or anything like that, and it's not something that not something that's really going to take you to the next level anyways. So, I have the card of magic. Do you believe in magic? I love that. It's going to be a very magical week. It's going to be a very healing week. Yes, it's going to be intense. Yes, it's going to be powerful. Yes, sometimes it may feel like it may be a bit too much, or it's too much on your plate. But like I said, the beautiful thing at the end of the week is that the energy kind of gets tempered a little bit. It cools off a bit, and we'll be all right. We'll be able to move forward in a very powerful way. But this can be a week that will just show you just how magical this world is and just how magical you are. I know that sounds cute and whatever like that, but like I said, there's still an element of putting in the work here, because it's not just going to happen automatically. There's still some work in order for the magic. I mean, even if you look at like a lot of the animes that I'll watch, right, especially if they're set in like, medieval Europe, whatever like that, or like a medieval European kind of setting, and they're like mages, whatever like that. Yeah, there's magic, but they have to practice their magic. They have to strengthen their body so they can actually like be able to put out more magic or do better, greater, or more powerful spells. There's still practice that comes along with this. So things are just going to happen. You got to practice at it. You got to work at it. You got to put that work in. And even in one of the Sabian symbols, it talked about that. It talked about you can't just, it was 26 degrees of Sag, right? Not just taking things for granted, but actually putting in the work and stuff like that. When you put in the work, you'll see just how freaking awesome of a manifestor you can be. And the reason why I added in there, of course, the law of vibration is because I feel like we do forget about the law of vibration. We always think about the law of attraction, but the law of vibration is about like who you are is what you become. So if you vibrate on a certain level, you will attract those things into you. So you have to like be that thing. You have to come into that vibration. You have to feel like $1,000,000. I know it sounds weird. I'm almost a little bit backwards, like putting the cart before the horse. But it's like you have to feel those things. You have to vibrate on that level. You have to be there. Put yourself in that place. Surround yourself with people that are in places where you want to be at. But if you're afraid to do that just because you feel like you lack something, how else did anybody ever get to anything? Everyone started off as a rookie at some point. Everyone started off as a novice at some point, and they got stronger not necessarily by just playing against other rookies, but by playing against veterans and surrounding themselves with veterans and getting mentors. Maybe the Queen of Swords here is a mentor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and having this ideology or this thought process that, oh, they're not going to want to bother with me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a novice. I'm just an amateur. You don't know that. You don't know that. And who's to say that you can't teach them something too? Because maybe they are further along in whatever craft they're in, whatever like that. But maybe you bring some fresh perspectives, some fresh energy. And yes, they're going to help you a lot. But maybe you teach them something too. That's the thing. So many people don't feel like they have something to teach anybody because they feel like someone may be better or more professional or more further along, whatever like that. But do not trap yourself. The spiritual advice, like I said, do not trap yourself into believing that A, no one can help you, or that B, no one's willing to teach you, or, no one's willing to spend time with you. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, if you could go off that law of vibration and go to where those who are doing what you want to do, and you go there, and there's a bit of a fake it till you make it kind of deal, but half of the game is the confidence and just showing up. That's half of the game. You have to be extroverted with this energy. You can't just hide under the sheets. You can't hide behind closed doors. You can't hide at home. You have to go out there and do something, especially now that we are in Leo season at the end of this week. This is time to go out there and show your stuff. But that is going to do it for this Cosmic Convergence for the 17th to the 23rd of July. Your weekly astrology horoscope. I trust this message will assist you on your journey this week. And if you found this helpful at all, I definitely appreciate it. If you like, share, and subscribe, of course. And I will definitely be seeing you all very soon on the next video, which will be the daily for Thursday. But y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful week. We got this, fam. I love you all so much. Peace. There goes the balloons. I guess I did something with like the hotkeys or the whatever like that, and then the balloons came up, whatever like that. See, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Even though it's random and out of nowhere, I love that the balloons came up. So y'all take it easy, all right?